it's Michelle, and I've got a really fun beading project for you guys today. We're going to be doing a Christmas wreath, and I just love this project. I have had so much fun with it, and I can't wait to show you guys. So here are the things that you're going to need. I've got some 24 gauge beading wire in silver, and I got that in a bright silver color because the brighter and more reflective that is, the brighter it's going to make your beads look when you're using beads that you can see through like this, and you see that wire inside. You don't want a dark wire because that's going to dull your color of your bead. So we've got the silver wire, 24 gauge, and then for our beads in the body of our wreath, I've got these already lined out the way I'm going to be using them, but I have a total of 10 4mm green bicones and 3 3mm red round faceted beads. And I really like that they're just a little bit smaller than the green beads to give it that look of small berries on the wreath. And then on either end I've got a green number 11 seed bead, and that's just because I need smaller beads to go up against our bow that's going to be in the middle at the top. And the bow is one of my favorite components. I just love it. We're going to make a bow at the top using 2 6mm heart beads and a number 6 seed bead in between those. And that just makes the cutest little bow. I just love that. And for the number 6 seed bead, I did kind of pick through those and try to find one with a little bit larger of a hole. And then I even took my bead reamer and kind of filed it out a little bit inside, because we want a little bit of wiggle room inside the hole of that bead, and you'll see why in just a few minutes. And then my other favorite component of this pendant is the bell. I've got a little silver filigree bead cap, and that measures 5mm high and 7mm wide at the widest part here at the bottom. And we're going to make that into a little bell, and it is the cutest, tiniest little silver bell. I just love it. And to help make our bell, we're going to need one little bugle bead, and that's 2mm wide. And I found one that was about 4mm to 4.5mm in length, and I needed just the right length to get the ball on my ball head pin down to where I wanted it to be, because that ball on the ball head pin is going to be like the little ball inside the bell that rings the bell. And then I have a lobster clasp also in the bright silver, and I've got a couple of crimp bead covers, a smaller one and a larger one. I'm hoping I can use the smaller one if it'll fit on at the end, but if not, I'll use the larger one. We'll see which way that goes when we get there, but that'll just help cover up some wire wrapping that I'm going to have to do and give it a more finished look. So I'm going to take my wire, and I'm going to take off about a foot or so, maybe a little more, just to make sure I've got plenty of room to work. Better to have too much than not enough. And I'm going to take my tiny little clothespin here, and I'm going to clip all the way back into that part of that, and wrap that around just a little, just so that can be a stop at the end and I won't lose my beads. So I've got that on there. Straighten my wire out a little bit and lay it aside. We'll get to that in a minute. The first thing I want to do is to create this bell. I just absolutely love this bell. It is the cutest thing perhaps that I've ever come up with. I love creating fun little things with these beads, but this I just loved. I'm just going to put my bugle bead on there on my ball head pin, and that's just going to be a spacer to bring that ball down where we need it to show just barely out of the bottom of our bell. Then we put it on there, and you guys can see that ball just out the bottom edge. I think that is so cute. And then we're just going to bend that over like we would any little bead charm. This is just a really, really tiny one. And then I'm going to cut that down to about 1/4 of an inch. And lay my excess aside because I will need a little jump ring in a minute. I'm going to take my round nose pliers and roll that into a loop. Being very careful. It's kind of tough to hold on to such a small little charm. But once you get that on there, look how cute that little bell is. I just love that. Okay, now I'm going to take my excess from that and go ahead and create a little jump ring, and I want a tiny jump ring. What I'm going for is about a 4mm jump ring. So if you guys buy your jump rings, maybe you can just go ahead and find a 4mm. And let's see what that comes out to. About 3.5. I'm going to try one more time. Come up just a little higher. We can't get it too small because then it won't fit through where we need it to. But we need it as small as we can get it that will fit through there. Let's see what that one is. That looks a little better. That's just a hair over 4. I think that one will work for me. I'll show you guys what I'm going to do with that. And this is a tight little fit to get this to do everything that we want going on with this little wreath. But when it gets all together, it makes the cutest little wreath. So I'm going to open that up really wide, and I'm going to put on my number 6 seed bead, the red one that is the middle of my bow. And then I'm going to put my little bell right onto that, right with my little red seed bead, and then close up my jump ring. If I can see what I'm doing with that tiny little jump ring there. Okay. And there we have that. And when that red bead becomes the center of our bow, we're going to have our bell dangling right down in the center of our wreath. That's a little hard to hold on to right there, but you guys will see when we start putting that together. It just works out so beautifully. I just love it. Okay, so now I'm going to get my wire. Scoot these back a little bit while I work. And the first thing I'm going to put on is one of my hearts. And I want to put that on with the pointed end going on first. And then I'm just going to string on my main body of beads right here. Right in the order that I've got them. which is a number 11 seed bead, and then 2 of my 4mm greens, 1 3mm red, three of my 4mm greens, and 1 red, and 3mm, another 3 greens, another red, two more of my 4mm greens, and then my last one is the number 11 green seed bead. Okay, and you can see what that gives us there. Really, in the body of the wreath, we've got 3 green, then a red, 3 green, then a red, 3 green, then a red, 3 green. It's just that we changed out the end green one for a number 11 seed bead on both ends, just so that's smaller up against our bow. It nestles into that little dip at the top of the heart a little better and gives us a little bit better of a bend when we curve our wreath. So then I'm going to put my other heart bead on, this time starting with the open top, so that we have our open top of the heart toward the rest of the beads on both ends. And then we go right through that red seed bead together with that jump ring. Now there's a lot going on with that little seed bead. That's why you want to kind of look through. Those seed beads are pretty irregular, and if you look through you can find which one has maybe a little bit larger of a hole, and that's the one you want for this project, because we have to fit quite a few things in there, because we're going to loop around and get this other end of the wire through there even again. And like I said, I even reamed it out with my bead reamer a little bit to make sure I've got plenty of room to work. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut that crook off where I had that wrapped around my little clothespin. And I'm going to take this end that we started with of my wire, and I'm going to loop around and crisscross right through that red seed bead. And you want to make sure that you're using nothing any bigger than the 24 gauge wire, because really if you get it any bigger than that, it's really not going to fit through your wreath. And you can see that's almost forming our little wreath. And I'm going to get my chain nose pliers and get a hold of that just so I can get a little bit better of a tug and pull that really good. Okay, let's see now. And then bring it up, bring it up. Make sure that you've got that pulled closely together. Okay, and then pulling that upward is going to help keep that from coming back apart. So you can kind of see what we've got going on there. And now I'm just going to start a little bit of a twist right there. twist it about twice. And then I'm going to bend it forward, just like I would if I was doing it with one of my head pins. Just either one of those wires. Just take your pick, it doesn't matter too much. And then I'm going to hold that at about the place of my round nose pliers, choosing about how large I want my loop to be. And then I'm just going to wrap it around. Reposition my pliers and wrap that around, and then I'm going to come around that wrapped part 2 more times and get my chain nose to help pull that tight so I get a good tight wrap. And then I'm just going to cut both my wires off. They've both got a good wrap that they're going to be secure. And then just take my chain nose and press down that little end so it doesn't poke. And then just turn your loop. When you look at your wreath, you want to see the front of your loop, not the open circle. And just get everything adjusted. So I'm going to shape this upward a little bit to improve the look of my bow a little bit. When we get the wreath shaped into a circle, it's going to bring our bow downward a little bit in the long run. It'll be a little bit of a droopy bow, but we don't want it drooping too bad. And just play with it until you get everything shaped the way you want it. Make sure all of your loops and everything are straight. And that's your Christmas wreath. I just love that. I think that is so cute. Now, if you wanted to, you could leave that just the way it is. A lot of wire wrapped bells and other jewelry pieces like that are left showing, but I don't particularly like the look of that wire wrapping around there, so I'm going to try to cover mine with one of those crimp bead covers. I'm going to try the smaller one first and see if it'll fit over my wire wrapped area. Well, if I can manage to pick it up. Once I get that on there, I'm just going to squeeze it shut. I don't know if there is a tool made for this, but if there is, I don't have one. So I'm just using my chain nose. Alright, I think I got it. Just straighten my loop back up and readjust the shape of my wreath. I'm going to make another jump ring. This is just another piece of scrap that I had laid off to the side. I'm just going to come about midways up the shaft on my round nose pliers. It'll probably give me about a 5mm jump ring, I'd say. And then open that up, put on my wreath, and put on my lobster clasp. And I can do away with that bigger crimp cover bead. I'm glad I was able to do it with the smaller one. And there is our little Christmas wreath pendant. I just love that. So what do you guys think of my bow and my bell on my Christmas wreath? I was pretty proud of those. I think those are so cute. And it just makes this little wreath adorable. So you guys be sure to leave a comment and let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, give me a like over on my Facebook page, and join our Facebook group, Craftie Minds. Follow me on Pinterest and Instagram, and don't forget to visit my blog. I'll put the links to all of those in the description below, so be sure and check them out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.